I've been playing video games for nearly a decade now, ever since I first played my sister's PS2. I was a TV child than a video game child, and with all of the consoles I've played in that time, with the Wii coming in at a close second, the Nintendo Switch is my favorite one. Compared to its predecessor, the Switch has a huge library of great, amazing games, some of which are the best in their respective series. They even port the best games from their rival consoles onto the Switch, mainly because of the home console handheld hybrid gimmick for the thing. As of this recording, I have 5 games for the Switch. My family bought these for either my birthday or Christmas, and I hope of buying a few more in the future. So I'm going to test a new yearly sort of video that I've been planning for a while, where I review the Switch games I own or will buy in the future, reviewing these ones now and doing every other review video early in each new year. But keep in mind, I'm not going to buy every kind of game imaginable. I'm not a big fan of RPGs, so no Final Fantasy or Fire Emblem. And since it'll be a while before I have access to my own credit card, I won't be able to play games that require an online subscription for the best experience, like Splatoon 2, or play any games from the eShop like... Cuphead and his Belmont Man, they like to roll the dice. So only physical releases I have bought throughout the year, and only franchises I know most about, or really want to get into. So let's begin this showcase with this gem.
Colors weave into a spire of flame, distant sparks call to a still unnamed. Bear this torch against the cold of the night. Search your soul and reawaken the undying light.
I know we've only started, but do I need to say anything? Ultimate is the perfect title for this game. This is, hands down, the best Super Smash Bros. Game. Or at least the best one that I've played. Now go ahead and argue that Melee was better, but for fuck's sake, I think this game is one of the best, if not the best. The only other Smash game I have played was the Wii U game. No Melee, no Brawl, this one. Why the hell did I even buy a Wii U? Port. Sequel. Mediocre. Port. Port. Going to port. No. I don't know what any of you people think, but after playing Ultimate, I never want to go back to the Wii U game ever again. I mean, I can't think of a single thing the Wii U game does better than Ultimate. Not a single thing. Let's compare. Instead of calling it Smash 4 or Smash Bros. HD or something, give it a long, boring title to remind parents which is which. An actual title. This was released around the same time as a 3DS version of the same game. Well, almost the same game. They both had the same characters, the same amount of stages, etc. Except because of the 3DS's inferior amount of space and programming, not everything they wanted could be added into the Wii U game. This was released on its own, with no handheld version with half of the space, so they could add in as much content and characters as they pleased. Mega Man, Pac-Man, Palutena, Mies, Ryu, Cloud Strife, good, Villager, Greninja, Corrin, Charizard on his own, Wii Fit Trainer, Duck Hunt Duo? Who the hell wanted the Duck Hunt dog in Smash Bros? Nobody likes him. Isabelle, Ken, Ice Climbers, Inklings, Dragon Quest, Young Link, Terry Bogard, Min Min from ARMS, Doc Samus, Squirtle and Ivysaur, Simon Belmont, Richter Belmont, Joker, King K. Rool, Solid Snake, Banjo-Kazooie, and Ridley. Freaking Ridley!
I'd have said it couldn't be done, but it can be done.
The 3DS had something resembling an adventure mode, or at least a mini-game that combined platforming with fighting, while the bigger, more powerful Wii U version, instead it had a shitty, confusing, time-consuming Mario Party ripoff. An actual adventure mode, where you travel to different realms, fight bosses, and features millions of clever references and homages in the form of spirit battles. This menu. Classic mode is just a huge mess of randomly generated fights that you're usually not prepared for. Literally, since sometimes you choose a fight and then suddenly it changes to a completely different and harder fight right the fuck out of nowhere. And there isn't a single original boss like Ganon or Rayquaza. Instead, you always fight 20 Miis. Every classic mode is structured like a straight path, doing a selection of fights that actually pays references and homages to the fighter you are playing as, or the series it's from. The difficulty increases when you keep going, and it increases more or less depending on how good you are, giving you an urge to keep practicing. The easiest shoot the credit sequence in any Smash Bros game, a charming platforming section to race to the end, and you don't just fight Master Ad or Crazy Hand at the end of every single path. You sometimes fight original bosses like Marx, Dracula, Rathalos, Ganon, Giga Bowser, and even Gallium from the Subspace Emissary. I agree that the visuals in Brawl are way too dark, gritty, and just don't fit with most of the child-friendly characters you play as in that game. But now, the Wii U game made everything look way too bright and too colourful. It looks like everything was coloured with those neon colours used for highlighter pens. This game's visuals have the perfect balance between Brawl's darkness and 4's brightness. It looks perfect. It doesn't look like a Fallout game, and it doesn't look like the saturation had been turned up to 11. I'm glad they got rid of moving stages like Icicle Mountain and Rumble Falls, but they thought stages like 75 meters, the Great Cave Offensive, Gower Plain, Port Town Aerial Dive, and Packland were perfectly fine. Granted, all of those stages are still in this game, but at least you have the option to turn those huge empty stages into a battlefield or Omega form to make them more playable and make it easier to see your own character, which is why most of the stages they introduced or brought back are smaller and resemble a normal battlefield-like stage. Whenever you feel like choosing stages like Gower Plains or Dr. Wily's Castle, you have to deal with Metal Face and the Yellow Devil every single time, constantly interrupting the fight or ending it quicker than expected. You now have the option to get rid of Yellow Devil or stage hazards in general. What took them so long?
Fire! 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 Fire!
You only have to unlock 5 characters. That's it. You start off with the original 8 fighters from the N64 game. That may sound worse, but it feels so exciting and satisfying to unlock all the other 68 fighters. It gives you plenty to do. As if the World of Light and challenges weren't enough. Speaking of which, the challenges and events were mostly impossible in this game. It's either because I'm not good enough for this game, and never will be, or they expected you to have the reflexes and powers of a god in order to do just one of them. I mean, look at this one. Take out 8 Miis in Crawl Smash, not with the character of your choosing, but with one specific character. Are you serious? I can't even survive 5 seconds in Crawl Smash, just try to do that Luigi challenge, and I'm not even fighting anyone. I'm just avoiding them. And what if you don't normally play as Lucina? What if you're not used to her controls or moveset? Not only did they get rid of event matches entirely, but these challenges are, mostly, much easier to complete. Some of them do take a long time to get right, or use a hammer to say you did it when you really couldn't. But I've actually completed all of these ones. Look at my completions for the Wii U game. That is how cryptic they were. Donkey Kong Kills with a bongo rhythm game. Okay, Yoshi turns into a controllable fire-spitting dragon. I guess that's fine, but he doesn't even look like a dragon. Fox and Falco use Landmasters. It's like they think the Landmasters are the primary vehicle you drive in the Star Fox games. And I also heard that Falco hates using the Landmaster. So, yeah, stupid move. Donkey Kong shows you how tough and strong he is by rapid punching opponents. Much better, Yoshi throws you into a Lion King style stampede of Yoshis, referencing the opening to Melee. Much better, Fox, Falco, and Wolf all jump into their R-Wings and shoot the living shit out of the opponents. Why didn't you just give this one from the start? It's so obvious! In fact, nearly all of the final smashes in this game are either cutscenes, an automatic attack, or you just need to move the attack up or down slightly. Gigamag, automatic. Supersonic, just raise him up and down. Pac-Man, automatic. Pikachu, automatic. Charizard and Lucario, their final smashes from Brawl, but improved. Giga Bowser, just aim the punch to your target and strike at the right moment. Game & Watch, automatic. Pit's Lightning Chariot, again, move the cursor to the target and strike. Wario Man, automatic. Diddy Kong, automatic. Zero Suit Samus, a combination. You go inside the Techno Suits like in Brawl, but you actually attack with an off-screen laser, like in 4. It might just be my own opinion, but I always preferred the final smashes to be like this. Either cutscenes, automatic attacks, or very easy to control. Something to really want you to use the Smash Ball. These ones respect each franchise and the source materials a lot more than certain ones from 4. If you see a Smash Brawl in 4, and especially in Brawl, you would be like, do I want to control Super Sonic or Dragon Yoshi? I'd rather watch Sonic zipping across the stage or referencing a much better game, or using an actual attack. Seriously, is this it? So, yeah, not a single thing is better in the Wii U game. Ultimate just annihilates this game for me. It shows that even after Brawl, 3DS, and Wii U, Sakurai and his team still know how to make a good fighting game 17 years after Melee, and even after some ups, downs, and 90-degree angles. Sakurai, you definitely need, like, 5 years of rest once the second Fighter Pass is done with. You definitely deserve it. Now let's go from the best Smash Brothers game to the best Mario game.
It's time to jump in the air. Jump up, don't be scared. Jump up and your cares will soar away. And if it does have such a smile, don't really shake it until you fall. Leave the switch, get ready for the sun. Let's do the Odyssey. Odyssey, 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 Odyssey.
If you loved playing Super Mario 64 or Super Mario Sunshine as a kid, then you're definitely going to love this game. This is a love letter to the Mario series as a whole, and a true successor to Mario 64. The story is that Bowser has captured Peach again, except this time, he's not just going to lock her in a cage and not do anything with her, he's going to force Peach to marry him, so the Koopa kids will finally have something resembling a mother. But luckily, Mario is there to rescue Peach and save the day. Oh. So Mario gets blasted all the way to Bonneton, the Cap Kingdom, inhabited by flying ghost-like creatures shaped like hats of all things. One of the residents, Cappy, informs the plumber that her sister, Tiara, was taken from him by Bowser. He's gonna need something special to go with her wedding dress. So Cappy, kindly taking the form of Mario's Cap, team up to save their beloved ones from the most strange, awkward wedding you will ever see. The controls in this game feel so good, and there is so many to do. The triple jump, the backflip, the somersault, rolling around, the long jump, the dive, any move from the 3D games you can think of is in this game, and they've been tweaked to perfection. And the things that you can do with Cappy are amazing too. You can throw him at enemies to defeat them, throw him to use him as an extra platform, shake the controller in a circle to spin him around Mario, grabbing coins with ease, but best of all, capturing. Basically, you throw Cappy at certain enemies or objects, and Mario gets sucked into that enemy and... there's no easier way to say this. He possesses them to do what he wants. That's right, instead of using power-ups, you are possessing all sorts of objects and innocent creatures in a Mario game. And it is the most clever idea ever. Possess a frog to jump to higher places, possess a Cheep to have an easier time swimming and to not worry about losing breath, possess a lava bubble to travel through seas of lava, possess Yoshi to flutter jump and to cling onto walls, possess a T-Rex to smash through walls and armies of enemies. Even something as useless as a Goomba has its uses. The game's worlds and levels are structured the same way as Mario 64, a sandbox style, meaning the levels are huge open worlds filled with many collectibles. Like in Mario 64 you were collecting stars, in Mario Sunshine you were collecting shine sprites, so I guess the only thing left to reference is the moon. So let's have him collect moons this time. But unlike Mario 64, you won't get sent back to the start of the world every time you collect a power moon. Thank Christ for that. Considering there's nearly 100 moons in each world, they thought it would be the best to collect as many as possible in any order that you like. You also collect coins and purple coins throughout these kingdoms. You can use these coins to buy hearts, souvenirs for the Odyssey, reference outfits, and even power moons. Yeah, the coins actually have a purpose in this game. The worlds in this game are creative, fun, and unforgettable. The Cap Kingdom is a brilliant tutorial world, and it looks dead unique. It looks like a world Tim Burton would create. This looks very Nightmare Before Christmas. The Sane Kingdom starts off very creative by feeling freezing in a desert. The Lake Kingdom looks gorgeous. It looks as if you found the Mario equivalent of Atlantis or something. The Snow Kingdom really gives you the winter chills, even in the middle of July. The Seaside Kingdom looks beautiful, with this nice teal blue water. It reminds me of those beautiful sunny beaches in the Caribbean. The Wooded Kingdom, even though it looks awfully similar to Planet Wisp from Sonic Colors, has a dark, creepy forest area under the kingdom. This legit creeped me out when I first played this section. It's so dark and quiet. There's no music. The only things you can hear are the footsteps of a T-Rex. A T-Rex walking through the shadows of a dark forest, and it will hurt you if you are anywhere near its sights.
Mama! Yahoo!
That actually scared me the first time. Am I playing a Mario game or fucking Silent Hill? The graphics in this game are beautiful. I can see every grain of sand, every blade of grass, every hair on Mario's mustache, all the fabric details on his clothes. These are the best graphics I've ever seen on a Switch game. The music is really enjoyable. It's got a great mixture of classic remixes, and new classics. The game is relatively easy for the most part. Hardly any of the missions or ways of collecting moons are difficult or rage quit worthy. But after the finale on the moon, things get a lot more difficult. And trust me when I say, you have to do a lot of bullshit, hard, or trial and error missions just to give Peach's castle a giant top hat. The picture matching games where you have no idea where you're supposed to put anything, all those boss rematches can be very difficult. The Brutals rematch in particular can go to hell, but most especially the entirety of Dark Side. But at least the darker side level is much more bearable than Champions Road. At least I can actually complete this level. Oh, and I only have to go through it one time with one character, not 5. But even though those levels are some of the banes of my existence, I still love this game to death. The game has the best graphics, the best controls, the best characters, the best gameplay, the best story, the best everything of any main Mario game. If you're thinking of buying a Switch for yourself, I'd highly recommend Super Mario Odyssey to be your first game for the thing. It's friendly, it's simple to master, and it gives you a lot to do. Now let's move away from the best Mario game I've ever played to the hardest game I have ever played in my life.
Bandicoot!
And I'm not over-exaggerating when I say that. This is the hardest game I have ever played so far. And I have fucking completed the Perfect Run, Darker Side, World 9-7, and even Champions Road at least once in my life. But at least they were all just one level from a mostly easy game. But in Crash Bandicoot, imagine if every single level in this game is the perfect run. Unless you grab some Aku Aku masks, you have only one hit point, and you have to go through pinpoint perfect platforming. It is that hard. But please keep in mind, these opinions are through the eyes of someone who, unlike Some Call Me Johnny or Cat Icarus, has never played the original PS1 games in his entire life before going into this game. Please keep that in mind. One of the first things that makes it hard to master are the controls. I mean, look at this. You can do a double jump in this game. If you've spent most of your life playing platformer games, you would assume that you would have to press the jump button twice to execute this double jump. But no, you have to hold the button to do it. Have you ever played a platformer game where you have to hold the jump button to do a double jump? Holding it usually gives you a higher jump than just tapping the button. I wouldn't be bringing this up if they didn't make it look as if Crash is doing a double jump when it's just a normal jump. Another thing, there's a slight delay from when you jump or spin. I come close to an enemy, I try to spin it away, but it doesn't work that close. I get killed by it. You have to spin him a little earlier than when you would expect to spin him. In Mario Odyssey, Mario does what you want the millisecond you press the button. Button jump again, button triple jump. But here it's button jump, button spin, button jump, button spin. The slight delay can make most of these levels a nightmare to complete. Even if the controls were perfect, most of the things you need to do to 100% each of these 3 games can feel agonizing. Take Crash 1 for example. In order to complete the game, you have to complete all the levels, smash every single box in these stages, including the TNT boxes, in order to get the clear gems, go through colored gem levels without dying once to get that gem, backtrack through certain levels and break all the boxes again, only this time go through the pathways you've unlocked by getting a specific colored gem, grab tokens to enter the Torna, Cortex, and, Lord forbid, Embryo bonus stages to smash even more boxes, grab a key in 2 specific levels to unlock other levels where you have to break even more boxes, and fight all the bosses. Oh, and Stormy Ascent. Holy fuck nuggets! In fact, there is at least one thing from each of these 3 games that makes me want to travel back in time to the 90s, find Naughty Dog Studios, pin the development manager onto the floor, and ask him what made these people think these things were good ideas. The colored gem levels in Crash 1, the secret pathways in Crash 2, and the time relics in Crash 3. The problem with the secret pathways is not that they were hard to find in Cash Banuka 2 Gringotts Steakhouse. I mean, most of them are subtle enough for you to notice, but going through some of these routes can be a nightmare. Case in point, cold, hard, fucking Crash. To get the special gem for this level, you need to go through this section of the level without dying until you come across this death route platform. You step on it, and you need to go through the hardest section of the level, avoiding annoying porcupine enemies, sliding past crushing logs, 2 kinds of them with different triggering behaviors, and trying not to throw the controller on the floor because of these fucking ice physics. They are the worst ice physics I have ever dealt with in a video game, and you have to jump past these devilishly placed insta-kill nitro boxes. Then you come to the end of the death route, and instead of grabbing the gem and falling down this gap, like every newcomer would do, you have to avoid the gem, activate this switch box, then backtrack through the death route, past the porcupines, logs, and nitro crates again. You could use Aku Aku's invincibility power to get rid of most of these obstacles, but getting 3 masks is also a nightmare because, to my knowledge, there are only 3 masks in the whole level, and you can get hit very easily beforehand. So then, you jump back onto the death route platform at the beginning, it takes you back to the normal cave section, which is a bit easier, but is still challenging if you don't know what you're doing. Then you make it through the rest of the level, while smashing every single box the entire time, grab the crystal, grab the box gem at the end, if you're successful, and step onto the portal pad. Oh, and you have to do a second playthrough of the death routes just to grab the colored gem you've avoided before. Jesus Christ on a fucking bicycle! What were they thinking? Now, onto the time relics. I would easily consider Crash 3 to be the best game in this trilogy because of the more different and unique levels, the large arsenal of unlockable controls, which make everything hella easier, and it's probably the easiest game to complete. Until you realize, after fighting Cortex and Uka Uka, that you have to earn the gold relics in the time trial versions of every single level, including the hidden levels under the Time Twister, and the later released extra level, Future Tense, in order to get the more conclusive ending. The gold relics! I mean, granted, they're not asking for the platinum relics, which are the hardest ones of all, but still, the gold ones, not the sapphire ones, which anyone can complete. Gold! Always believe in your soul. Now, on my replay on this game, I managed to get gold relics quite easily for a good chunk of stages. The medieval ones, the plane ones, the jet ski ones, and even the motorbike races, which, for the time trial, I easily waited for 60 seconds after the green light, and then went for it. I didn't want all those arsehole lab assistant drivers giving me a hard time. But for the rest of the levels, fuck those time relics. Fuck them all to hell. I wanted to murder that tiger after Midnight Run. Rings of Power wants you to spin through every single ring, which is much easier said than done. Making high bounces off these awnings in the Arabian levels can be hard. I hate the rising and descending water mechanic in Tomb Raider. Due to the jet ski's different controls, Hot Cocoa was a nightmare. Trying to swim quickly while avoiding the sharks and bombs in the swimming levels can be annoying. Running away from the dinosaurs can be infuriating because of the camera and that you can't see what you're going to run into. And don't even get me started on Future Tense, an already hard as hell level when getting the box gem and the precise platforming you need to do, made even harder by being even more precise and quick at the same time. Crash 3 was going to be the only saving grace from this nightmare of a trilogy game, but then they had to fuck it up with all of this. Why do I even need to get all the relics to get the proper ending anyway? The relics are never mentioned in the story's cutscenes, they aren't what Cortex or Uka Uka need to take over the world, and in the actual ending, they aren't even seen being the objects that reverts Cortex and Entropy into babies. Yeah, you get a final gem for getting all of the gold relics, which is what you really needed, but aren't the 46 other gems, the 5 colored gems, and the 25 crystals enough? They really needed to add just one more extra gem? Why couldn't these time trials be optional? You know, like how they are in Crash 1 and 2? Also, I'm never going to go through the time trials in Crash 1 or 2. If you don't get awarded with anything after getting them, not even an achievement because it's on the Switch, then I'm not going to do it. I've suffered enough torture and wasted a lot of my life already. And the thing that was the bane of my existence when I first played this game were the colored gem levels in Crash 1. Now, in the original Crash 1, in order to get any of the gems, colored or otherwise, you have to smash every single box without dying once. Yes, in every single level. Luckily, Vicarious Visions took that completely frustrating element out of the first game, except for 6 levels. Now, stages like Generator Room, Lights Out, The Lab, and even Toxic Waste, I didn't have a problem with on my replay. But Slippery Climb and the Lost City are still absolute hell. First of all, this is the first thing you need to do in the Lost City. Need I say more? Well, actually, I can. After that, you need to avoid legions of bats coming your way multiple times, bounce off of lizard enemies to smash certain boxes, or grab an embryo token at the top of some moving platforms that will push you off the stage. Do quick, precise jumps on disappearing platforms to get to the top of this temple, make it through a very difficult embryo bonus stage. In fact, the Torna stage isn't the easiest thing in the world either. And finally, you encounter a lizard at the end, which your mind obviously calls for you to spin him away, like every single other enemy in the level. But if you do, for some dickish reason, he pushes you off the stage. It's a trap anyone would fall for. You have to jump on him to kill him. And then there's Slippery Climb. Everyone agrees that the free DLC level Stormy Ascent is the hardest level in Crash 1? Well, I am the only one in the universe who disagrees. Yes, even the inhabitants on the planet Gas Moxia all have that opinion. I actually think that Slippery Climb is harder than Stormy Ascent. Seriously. Yeah, Stormy Ascent has the most difficult platforming challenges in the whole game, but at least you can die 98 times in a row in that level and still get the box gem. But in Slippery Climb, you aren't allowed to die once to get the colored gem. So every time you make a mistake or fall down below, you have to quit the level, go into it again, and start at the very beginning again. Never allowed to give you a second chance at the thing that you died at straight away. The only thing you can fail millions of times on in these levels are the bonus token stages. But let me tell you something that put my piss to a boil when I heard about it. Before playing Crash 1 Remastered, I saw Cadicarus's review of the original PS1 version, and I can specifically remember him telling us how to get the gems.
In order to get the gems, you need to hit every single crate in a stage, including the deathly 3-second explosive TNT crates that Brio especially loves using so that his bonus stages can sometimes be a nightmare, but all without dying once. Even if you die in the middle of a stage and have to go back on yourself to smash the rest of the boxes that respawn behind you after every checkpoint, by the time you reach the end, you'll still be booted right back to the map and will completely bypass the box counting screen anyway.
And when I heard in his Sane Trilogy collab review that you still can't die in the colored gem levels, I assumed that you are not allowed to die on the bonus stages as well. So every single time I blew up in the embryo stages or fell down in the Torna stages, I quit, got back in, and started all over again. I did this for what felt like 3 hours before finally getting the green gem in the Lost City. But then I heard somewhere of the inevitable. I heard that you can fail multiple times on the bonus stages, and you can still get the colored gem because those stages are not connected to your life count.
And on the colored gem stages in particular, if you find all of the Cortex, Brio, or Torna Bandicoot tokens for a bonus stage but then die in there, not only can you retry it straight away, but it doesn't count towards a death in a stage.
I have spent 3 hours raging, shouting, nearly punching anything closest to me because of some arsehole level designs and impossible accomplishments, quitting, re-entering, and doing the same thing over and over again, not prepared for the later side of the levels, and going through the level and boxes as quickly as possible because I didn't want to do it all anymore, even ignoring all the hints because of how frustrated and tired I was of this game, all to the point where my hands and fingers were aching and cramping ever so painfully, and I could have kept on going on the embryo stages the entire time? Oh, hello there. Can I help? Oh, no, what are you doing? What were you fucking thinking? But if there's anything positive I can say about this game, it's a great game to watch. The graphics are really nice and detailed, even if they have been downgraded to fit onto a Switch. The animations are nice, stretchy, and lively. The stories are intriguing, and hearing all of these all-star cartoon show voice cast actors saying all these classic lines, including Lex Lang.
No, Crash. To save the world, I need crystals. Crystals!
Debbie Derryberry.
Crash, thank goodness! I hacked into Cortex's computer and found detailed schematics for an improved Cortex Vortex and a suspicious-looking space station.
Corey Burton.
We need not only your master crystal, but also the remaining 25 slave crystals from the surface.
Uka Uka and Dr. Cortex have sent me to end this little charade.
John DiMaggio.
You lost the gems, you lost the crystals, and I have lost my patience. Crash! Leave them for Tiny, or Crash get crashed!
Greg Eagles.
Uka Uka is free? No, it cannot be. Evil, great evil has come.
Maurice LaMarche.
But Dr. Cortex, the vortex is not ready. We have no idea what it could do.
And of course, Jess Harnell.
Uh-oh. Whoa! Ba-da-ba!
These cutscenes and voices are so enjoyable that I could recite them all day.
Maybe I should retire to a nice big beach with a nice big drink and a woman with nice big bags of ice for my head.
And the music is really enjoyable too, with Crash 1 and 2 having nice jungle-themed xylophones everywhere, and Crash 3 having different styles of music for each time period. And I can't get enough of the music for the Time Twister, Insanity Beach, and Hog Wild, especially the sound effects. Speaking of Hog Wild, I love the way I ended that level. I got all the boxes, avoided all the obstacles, except I accidentally crashed into the final tribesman, flew off the pig, and landed on the warp portal platform and grabbed the gem at the same time. And that counted as completing the level. I really should have died there, but for some strange reason, I got lucky that time. I just love it. But no matter how much I like the voice acting, or just the main playthrough of Crash 3, what I did to 100% complete these games scarred me for life. In order to gather my true feelings on these 5 games, I felt like deleting my old saved games and playing through all of them again. And when I got to this game, I really didn't want to delete my old files. I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to complete these games. Slippery Climb, The Lost City, Cold Hard Crash, Piston It Away, Death Roots, Time Trial Relics. And I didn't want to go through all of that shit again, not even for the review. So, as of this recording, I fully completed Crash 1 again, but I gave up after 24 time relics in Crash 3 and gave up halfway through Crash 2 because I didn't want to go through these levels again.
Complete! Complete! Complete!
Never, ever, ever again! I really want to love these games. I want to love Cash Banuka. Cat Icarus has given these 3 games such high praises that I wanted to agree with him and say that these are platforming masterpieces. But if I'm being honest, these aren't masterpieces. For me, this game is not for everybody. It's for masochists. People who can make it through Mega Man, Castlevania, Ghosts and Goblins, Silver Surfer, and Mario the Lost Levels. With their eyes shut. These 3 games are definitely up there with those ones, despite its kiddie appeal and cartoony style. Call me a wimp or not good enough all you want, but that's my honest opinion about these games. And unfortunately, I don't think it's ever going to change. I'm certain that it won't change. Well, I think I've shouted controversial opinions at the top of my lungs for long enough. Now let's play something much calmer and easier. So, this game is about Luigi and company being invited to a huge luxury hotel. Everything looks nice and dandy on the outside and the inside at first, but as soon as night falls, you will soon see why this is a Luigi game. In fact, shouldn't this have been called Luigi's Hotel? It turns out that the owner of the hotel, Helen Gravely, has teamed up with her idol, King Boo, to complete his Mushroom Kingdom portrait collection. After finding a new poltergust contraption, it's up to Luigi to catch all the ghosts, save his friends, and defeat King Boo for a 3rd time. The controls in this game are really good. Even though Luigi seems to have Captain Toad disease in these games, in that he can't jump, for some strange reason, he can do anything with his new poltergust. Also, I love the fact that the poltergust GOO was first seen in a Smash Bros. Ultimate trailer a few months before the announcement trailer for this game. That is a nice, subtle case of foreshadowing. It feels really addicting to suck up every single thing in sight, even if there's no money in them. Curtains, paper, wanted posters, pillows, rubbish, anything. It's like an unintentional janitor job we never thought we liked. You can also blow things away from you, use a plunger to grab and smash objects, because plumbers, a light beam that can reveal invisible objects, and, more importantly, bring portraits to life. And then there's Gooigi. He can walk through bars on spikes and can act as a second suction body if the objective requires 2. These are really nice controls, simple but effective. I absolutely love Luigi in this game. The cutscenes make him look so adorable, lovable, and sympathetic. You really do feel sorry whenever he's scared or worried, and glad when he's happy. Oh yeah, and Polterpup is just adorable.
Puppy. Aw, Polterpup. Puppy.
Oh. Hey, bro. Oh, doggy.
I wish my dogs were like him. I kinda like some of the puzzles in this game, for completing the stages, collecting the gems, or finding Boos. Even though this is clearly a kid's game, there are some puzzles that are hidden so well or are hinted so subtly that not even I, a 23-year-old, didn't notice the first time. What I like about every level, well, to be more accurate, every floor of the hotel, is that each one has a completely different theme. There's a shopping mall floor, a theater floor, a dance floor, a fitness center floor, a botanical garden floor, a history museum floor, a pirate-themed floor, an ancient Egypt floor, a medieval castle floor, and even a movie studio floor. Every time you go to a new floor, it doesn't feel like you are still in the hotel. It feels like you've walked into a different part of the world. These levels have the most variety than the previous two games. The areas in one are just different rooms of the mansion, like a laundry room, a foyer, a dressing room, and etc. And this might be because I've never played it, but I can't remember any of the mansions in 2. 3 has rooms based on the medieval times, ancient Egypt, and many different movie genres, so it gives the production team much more creative freedom. I like it. Boss ghosts are back in this game, and they have gotten really creative with them. A Mozart ghost, a DJ ghost, a hillbilly ghost, a pirate shark ghost, a Cleopatra ghost, a caveman ghost, and a King Arthur type ghost. Hell, one of the boss ghosts actually doesn't want to fight you. He's just so sad that he has lost his megaphone, and when you give it back to him, he repays you by letting you star in his movie. And the actual boss is a normal ghost dressed up like Godzilla, and the director ghost was filming the whole fight as a part of his movie that you actually get to see later on. This is the best Luigi's Mansion game, hands down. Even though I say that, I do have a few nitpicks about this game. Though let's be real, I have nitpicks for everything. Firstly, some of the bosses, when thinking about them from a child's perspective, are either really hard or take a long time to figure out what you're supposed to do. Like, how are you supposed to know that you're supposed to blind the knight with your torch while he's charging? Or that you're supposed to fire a plunger at the maid ghost's stomach? Or that you're supposed to suck the sand head long enough to make the Cleopatra ghost open for capturing? And then there's the magician triplet boss, where, after you've captured the first triplet, you're supposed to memorize where one of them is and not one of the bombs. So you have to watch very closely for your life, but it's really hard to keep track of the right hat when you're trying to dodge playing card projectiles and when the whole stage blacks out a few times later on. If I had lost all of my health twice on this boss because of its difficulty, then how do you expect a kid to make it through this? The game also throws in a few child-friendly jump scares, since, of course, it's a horror-themed game. I wouldn't have a problem with that, except one of them actually did make me jump. It was in the movie set level. I'm just going around sucking up more paper and money, then I start to continue onwards towards this Yeti statue, just focusing on cleaning up, when... That legit scared me the first time. There was no indication whatsoever that it was possessed. Pop, you bastard! And those 2 occasions in your playthrough where you have to fight Helen Gravely's cat, I found them to be really pointless. It was just huge, dragging, annoying chunks of filler that just interrupts the game and just wastes another 40 minutes of your game time. Now, when you had to go through the boiler works again and rescue a toad, that I'm alright with, since that mission was to help upgrade your poltergust. There was a reason to do it, but there was no reason for you to backtrack through multiple levels to fight the cat. There were no poltergust upgrades, no toads or professors to save. It doesn't even affect the story. You're just getting back the elevator button you've already worked pretty hard to get in the first place. But besides from my douchey nitpicks which only I have problems with, and most likely not any of you people have, this is still a great game. From the controls, to the puzzles, to Luigi's adorable character, I would definitely recommend this as your first Luigi's Mansion game. After all, it was my first, and I really enjoyed it. And speaking of games I would recommend, It's funny, I know a hell of a lot more about than on Spyro, except for the fact that both series have the exact same history. But when it comes to playing the games, I had a much better time with the Spyro trilogy than I ever did with the Cash Banuka trilogy, and I can list so many reasons as to why. 1. Instead of it being a platformer game with lots of difficult and precise movements just to progress through the level, Spyro is more of an open-world collectathon type of game, like Banjo and Kazooie. That kind of game is more to my tastes. 2. Spyro's controls are much better than Crash's because I feel as if the delay of which Crash spins is not around when Spyro breathes fire or something. 3. Instead of going on linear paths with a fixed camera, making it hard to find every single box, Spyro has fully explorable 3D worlds with a free moving camera. You can go everywhere and anywhere once you have mastered running and gliding. 4. Because of the fixed camera, it can be really easy to miss a ton of boxes in the Crash games. They can be completely hidden from sight. Spyro, on the other hand, has sparks. He is an absolute godsend. By pressing the left thumbstick, Sparks can actually point in the direction of any nearby gems you have missed, making it miles easier to 100% complete every world and every level. Not to mention, there's no time trials, no bullshit camera when you're backtracking, it's much easier to defeat enemies, most of the worlds and levels are much easier in terms of difficulty, no impossible to find secret pathways, no secret levels, and Spyro has the much more enjoyable experience. Not even the in-game achievements known as skill points infuriated me, because 1. Most of them were quite easy to pull off, and 2. They aren't essential for finishing the games, they are optional. All you really need to do is to collect all the gems, find all the dragons or dragon eggs, complete all the side missions to collect power orbs and talismans, and beat all the bosses, which even then wasn't so hard that it made me want to give up. A couple of times. Although the Spyro games aren't perfect, there were still some things in the 3 games that I really didn't like. For example, the flying levels. In Spyro 1 and 2, you have to destroy 32 objects with your fire breath, or with a charge attack if need be, under a certain time limit. I still, to this day, haven't gotten used to moving Spyro when he's flying. It's like, if I want to fly up, I have to push the thumbstick down, and to fly down, I push up. It's so confusing. Not to mention, it might just be a problem for me, but Spyro is flying much too fast in here. I find it hard to target him right at the correct moment to fire. The time limit is too short for me. Just adding 3 extra seconds for every destroyed object isn't enough. I think 5 seconds would have been more tolerable. Just a single touch on any platform or in the ocean and Spyro either drops like a rock or it ends the level. That's complete shit. And it's like you have to go through a set pathway to complete it all in time. You don't have time to burn anything you like. It's like you need to destroy the chests first, then the arches, then the planes, then finally the barrels. I always end up having to follow a guide video to show the quickest pathway, cause I'm absolutely awful at video games. I'll admit it, I'm terrible. Kids in the 90s have much bigger balls than I ever will. But the flying stages in Crash 3 are easily the simplest ones, but only in the case of the time attacks. I was definitely struggling to finish each of the racing parts and the additional hunter missions in Mushroom Speedway and Harbor Speedway. But even then, I found them more annoying than frustrating. The racing part, because you have to go through every blue boost ring to even get a chance of getting to first place, and to shoot every opponent with the red rocket rings at every chance you get, but the rocket might end up hitting a wall instead, so you can't fire until you're straight behind him. And the hunter mission where you have to shoot UFOs can be annoying, because the UFOs move too quickly, your bullets don't cover much, and I feel like Hunter is too slow to avoid the constant laser blasts. And following the smoke rings in Harbor Speedway took 20 minutes due to the tight maneuvers you need to do and the backwards vertical controls. There were also a couple of normal levels that I wasn't a fan of. Treetops for using specifically timed supercharge jumps on multiple paths to reach certain dragons and gems, and the level itself can be quite hard to tell where you are and where you need to go.
Well, you could have found an easier spot to get stuck.
Exactly. Those certain enemies that pop up from out of nowhere and run towards you, ready to kill you. Yeah, you know the ones I'm talking about. Those bush enemies from Fracture Hills, because they disguise themselves, completely tricking you into thinking they're part of the scenery. And those hiding plant enemies in Misty Bog, they actually legit frightened me the first time I saw them. Oh, thank Christ. Nearly all the bosses in the 3 games are really easy to beat. Except for one. Not the Sorceress, not Ripto, and definitely not Nasty Nork. He is still as simple...
Simple?
Ugly...
Ugly?
And less of a threat as everyone says he is.
No threat?
No. The hardest boss in the whole trilogy, without a doubt, is Gulp. Yeah, the hardest boss in Crash 2 isn't even the final boss, it's one of Ripto's beast minions. Have you ever played a game where the final boss' minions are harder to beat than the final boss itself? How in the hell does that work? Gulp's laser projectiles seem to know your every move for some reason. If you're thinking of dodging to the left, the laser will shoot to your left before you even push the stick left. Is Gulp psychic or something? Also, halfway through the battle, Gulp will start eating the bombs, rockets, and barrels you are meant to throw at him, and they give him special attacks. Chickens also appear, which contain butterflies to restore your health, but if Gulp eats a chicken, it regains one of his health points. That's not fucking fair! The boss is already a nightmare to complete. I just want to get it over with and unlock the Winter World. Don't drag it out for even longer! This here is the only skill point I haven't gotten over all 3 games because this boss is impossible. How the fuck can anyone beat this asshole without getting hit once? I seriously lost 20 lives and got a game over on this boss because it's unfair. What am I doing wrong? No, wait. I'll tell you what I'm doing wrong. I was supposed to shoot fire at Gulp the whole time. Seriously, all I did was shoot fireballs at him, did it 10 times for like 25 seconds, he fell down like a ragdoll, and I got the skill point anyway. I thought beforehand that since Gulp looked big and tough, I thought he would be immune to my fireballs. But no! Since Spyro's fire breath seems to be OP in Ripto's rage, I mean, I had broken metal cases with it, broken hidden walls, even Earthshapers before I did the Alchemist mission, making it a bare and empty cakewalk. Pretty much everything only the charge attack could do in the first game, even Gulp is no match to just spamming fireballs.
See, if you 100% complete Spyro 2, you unlock the Super Flame. Super Flame basically makes everything easy mode, including the bosses. So let's say you want to hop into a new save file and want to replay the Reignited Trilogy, and you still have the Super Flame? But why? This is a new save file. Well, in the original games, if you unlock the Super Flame, every save file on that memory card would have, well, Super Flame.
Oh, Oh, so that's why the game was so easy. Yay, I wasted 20 lives for nothing. And of course, Fireworks Factory had a double dragon. I wish. No, I'm talking about a completely unfair pair of dragon robots that you need to break apart one piece at a time with your fireballs. But you have to fly in order to be in range. The dragon's move patterns are completely randomized, so you have no idea where it's going to fly off to. And if that wasn't enough, the dragons regenerate themselves. Yeah, if you leave a dragon untouched for a few seconds, the broken pieces pop back up and you have to shave that bit of health off all over again. It took me 90 minutes to finally destroy both of them when I did this. 90 minutes! And it was just the side mission in the level. Hell, it technically wasn't even a boss. But I managed to usually forget all about those problematic, difficult parts of these games because I am deeply in love with the positives I've mentioned earlier. The graphics look beautiful, even on the Switch. Everything looks super detailed, and the animations are as pleasingly stretchy and lively as the Sane Trilogy's cutscenes. And I didn't think they could do the motion blur thing on the Switch version, but they can somehow. The music is mostly forgettable to me. I honestly prefer most of Crash's music, but there were a few gems in these games too. I love the warm, welcoming music in Glimmer. I can't get enough of Stone Hill's music. And my god, the music for Summer Forest is just so relaxing and gorgeous. It sounds like the type of music you would play during a yoga or stress relief class. I like most of the characters in this game. They are entertaining, they give helpful hints for newcomers, and they have enjoyable voices.
Ripto may be gone, but he caused a lot of damage during his short stay. We'll be cleaning up for weeks.
Hey, I could do that. Why doesn't the dragon just torch Ripto?
A dragon? You brought a dragon to Avalar? I hate dragons!
They say this world used to have magic coming out of the wazoo. Flying ships, singing forests, wishing stones, you name it.
I was a champion bantamweight boxer at university, and I still know a few moves.
I've tried to scare him off, Your Highness, but he's just not afraid of anything.
These are the latest military hardware. DBX-9 rocket launchers, state-of-the-art.
It's been peaceful here in the 5 worlds, or is it 6?
Without the dragons, the magic in this world will wither away. Without magic, I'll die.
Why, you brazenly avaricious, duplicitous, larcenous ursine!
Ragnar! Ooh, let me at him. You want a piece of me? Oh my, I can't see the switch. I think I've broken my glasses.
And I know everyone and their mothers had said this loads of times, but I just love Tom Kenny's role as Spyro in this game. I've usually known him for voicing childhood icons, sympathetic antagonists, or racist mistakes. But I just love him voicing a young, confident little dragon with an adorable attitude.
Hold your horns. Here comes Spyro. Where's Nasty Nork? I'll torch him. How's a dragon supposed to flame metal armor anyway? They better be on the lookout for me. I'll be done when I've toasted that Nasty Nork. Bring him on. I think I smell a barbecue. I'm out of here.
I just also love how the Dragon Elders in the first game have fantasy world type names, but yet all the baby dragons in the third game just get generic, boring human names. So let's end this video by naming my personal favorites. Amy, Bruce, Isabel, Jake, Lulu, Stephanie, Kermit, Luna, Ryan, Dizzy, Duke, Jackie, Jason, Molly, Daisy, Emily, Miles, Ruby, John, Dave, Matt, Trixie, Madison, Pee-wee, Rusty, Tom, Alex, Caroline, Ralph, Betty, Scout, Frank, Henry, Henry, Michael, Michelle, Peggy, Roy, Gavin, Tootie, Hannah, Stuart, Ted, Benjamin, Chuck, Mo, Donovan, Noodles, Patty, Sam, Jasper, Oliver, Brian, Charlie, Eric, Chris, James, Al, Billy, Buddy, Hank, Lloyd, Max, Andy, Marty, Pete, Sadie, Dan, Elliot, Sharon, TJ, Will, Rowan, Tony, Sarah, Annabelle, and George. And with that, I'll see you until the next time I decide to review something harder than videotapes. And until then, remember...
You gotta believe!